Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Join me in Psalm 40 today. To the choir master, a psalm of David. That's a critical part of it. Verse 1, I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. Then jump down to verse 17. As for me, I am poor and needy, but the Lord takes thought for me. He declares, you are my help and deliverer. Do not delay, O God. So we looked earlier at Psalm 8, and the big concept there is I am in the mind of God. And it's a big ask for us. If you knew that you were in the mind of God, what would change? Your prayers would change, your action, everything might change. So if I knew that I am in the mind of God, maybe I'd fill my mind with more of God. So because he has you in mind, he's inclined towards you, is what the psalm tells us. And that's a big call, as the Lord is inclining himself towards us. And then are we going to incline ourselves towards him in response to what he's doing for us? So we can lean on him because he leans towards us, and stretch towards him because he's stretched towards us. So the Lord gives thought for me. He thinks of me. He holds me in thought and considers me and values me, and then acts. So for every action of the Lord, there's a corresponding and pre-existing thought of God. So for every answer, he first listens to the question. To answer prayer, he has to hear prayer and care and lean in, incline his heart towards me. I always find it helpful, and Psalms is full of this, is this geographical and almost anatomical principles that are described there. That is, before God acts, he leans. Before he intervenes, he inclines toward. Before he saves, he stretches. And before he bears these burdens, he bends towards us and bends the heavens towards us. Before the Lord acts, he avails himself. So make no mistake, Psalm 40 is a call for help. It's a call for deliverance. And yes, he's going to intervene and act and to defend and thwart and deliver and do all kinds of wonderful things to shame his adversaries and give mercy to the unworthy, that's mostly David, and act steadfastly towards the uncooperative. But before all that, he has to think about us. He's inclined to me and heard my cry. So the Lord is bending in, and the Lord is taking thought on my behalf. So for every action of the Lord, there is a corresponding and pre-existing thought of God, right? You can write that down. All right, so let's talk about David and what are the actions of spiritual growth. It's a return again to this concept of repentance, but I have a little twist on it. I refer you to Psalm 51, which is the great I'm sorry psalm. But in verse 12 of Psalm 40:12, for evils have encompassed me beyond number. My iniquities have overtaken me, and I cannot see. They are more than the hairs upon my head. So David is going to confess his sin again to the Lord. He's relying on the steadfast love when he himself has not been very holy. In other words, David is admitting that there's all kinds of bad stuff happening externally in the psalm, but I am part of the problem. So he takes note of those external things and asks the Lord to put them away, that his enemies would be disappointed, turned back, and dishonored. But then the curious part, I think, is that David also admits to being part of the problem. My iniquities have overtaken me. So I can't just blame, the bad guys. My heart fails me, not just because of the enemy without, but also because of the enemy within. And for this, David only asks mercy. Now, what's impressive about David, and I think is my main lesson today for me and hopefully for you too, is this spiritual cheekiness, this boldness that David has to keep coming back to the Lord. Like, David, you've messed up so many times, and you keep coming back. Why is that? Well, I think he has a level of understanding that we don't, which is the holiness of God. How can do this? And I think this is at least one of the geniuses of David. So he's the great I'm sorry guy. But why? Why is he a great I'm sorry God? Well, because of something that I think he understands about the character of God. The steadfast love of God, even with a wobbly and unfaithful and frankly a sinful people, most noteworthy himself. So how can you keep walking back into the throne room, day after day or whatever, and say to God, whoops, I did it again. And then asking the Lord, please do it because of Hesed, which is the Lord's steadfast love, his faithfulness. But also be pleased to do it. Like, I know you so well, I know you will be pleased because of your steadfast love and faithfulness to forgive me and restore relationship with me. Now, one day there's going to be no more sin, and we're going to eventually live with the Lord in endless, sinless day. But today is not that day. And it's a good thing the Lord has provided this aspect of his character for us to rely on to keep coming back into his throne room. So one of David's superpower is asking forgiveness. And I think we can learn from David that the skill of asking forgiveness. And why is it that God is more comfortable with forgiving sins than we are oftentimes in admitting them and recognizing them and verbalizing them before them? Probably because we don't understand the character of God, that God is pleased to do that and he's bent to do that. So if God had to find some sin in your life, where would you encourage him to look? Under what rock would you tell him to look? So let's go to God in repentance and ask forgiveness on a regular basis. But like David, let's know why. It's because of the character of God. It's because of what God is like. Thanks for listening.